What if I told you that one of the strongest acts of faith wasn't saying yes, but actually saying a firm, confident no? It's a pretty counterintuitive idea, right? But that's the whole argument at the heart of Mark Mountjoy's book, The Theology of No. It suggests that when you reject doomsday predictions, you're not showing doubt. You're actually doing something powerful to protect your faith, your community, and, well, your future.
Now, to get why this matters, the book doesn't start with complex theology. It starts with the very real human cost. This quote, "the great disappointment," that's not just some dramatic phrase. It's the actual name of a historical event in America where thousands of people had their lives completely shattered when the end of the world they were promised, well, it just didn't show up.
And just look at this timeline. This wasn't some sudden craze that came out of nowhere. We're talking about a 13-year buildup of genuine, sincere belief. By 1844, people weren't just, praying a little harder. They were selling their farms, giving away their possessions, not even planting crops for the next season. They bet everything they had on this one date. And when October 22nd just came and went with nothing happening, the fallout was just catastrophic. They were left with absolutely nothing.
And you might think, okay, that was the 1800s. But this is hardly an isolated case. The book points to way more recent examples, like this really poignant story of a woman who was a Jehovah's Witness for decades. She spent her whole life preparing for the end, only to be faced with the one reality her belief system never accounted for: a normal, long life.
The scale of this can just be staggering. I mean, get this. In 2011, Harold Camping's doomsday prediction was backed by an ad campaign that's estimated to have cost $100 million. $100 million on billboards, on radio ads all over the globe, spreading this one message.
So, all of this leads to the million-dollar question, right? After centuries of these very public, very expensive, very painful failures, why do people keep believing? The book argues the answer is a really potent mix of human psychology and a particular way of reading sacred texts.
Okay, so first, let's talk psychology. When people give up their homes and their life savings, they're not just making a prediction anymore, they're making a massive, life-altering investment. And that's exactly where this powerful mental trap snaps shut. It's called the sunk cost trap.
So, a sunk cost is anything you've put in that you can't get back. Your time, your money, your reputation. And the fallacy part is our brain's weird, irrational tendency to keep pouring more resources into that thing because of what we've already lost. See, admitting you're wrong is just incredibly painful. It feels so much easier to just double down and hope you'll be proven right eventually.
The book has a really powerful way to describe this. It's like a compulsive gambler who just can't walk away from the table. They've lost so much, they start to feel like the machine owes them a win. It's the same kind of logic. After you've sacrificed your whole life for a prophecy, it's easy to start feeling like the universe just has to prove you right.
And this isn't just a theory. It's been studied. There was this famous study back in 1956 called When Prophecy Fails, and it found this exact thing. When the aliens didn't land and the world didn't end like they were told, the most dedicated members didn't give up. They actually became more passionate. To deal with that intense psychological discomfort of being wrong, it's called cognitive dissonance, they started trying even harder to recruit new members, to get that validation that they were right all along.
Okay, so that's the psychological why. But the book says there's also a theological how, and it all boils down to two totally different ways of reading prophetic texts. So the book breaks it down into these two camps. On one side, you have futurism. This approach reads prophecy like a roadmap to events that are still in our future. They're always just around the corner. But on the other side, there's a view the book calls atavism. This view argues that the big, key prophecies were actually fulfilled way in the past, specifically in the 1st century for the original audience that heard them.
And that distinction brings us right to the book's big idea, the solution to this whole destructive cycle. It's not a new prediction. It's actually a principled refusal to play the game.
Here's the core argument. Saying no to all these constant, imminent doomsday predictions isn't an act of doubt. It's actually a positive, protective move. It's a way to shield people from that crushing disappointment and to keep the entire community from losing all its credibility with the outside world.
And this quote just nails the spirit of it. This no isn't about being scared or skeptical. It's framed as the ultimate act of confidence. Confidence that the promises made in the past were already kept, so you don't have to hold your faith hostage to whatever might happen in the future.
So, what happens when a community actually adopts this way of thinking? Well, the book claims the results are practical, They're measurable and they're pretty profound.
The book argues the upsides are huge and very real-world. You get vocational stability. People are actually encouraged to plan for a long, full life, to get an education, to build a career. You get intellectual credibility because your faith isn't tied to every new headline in the newspaper. It also creates pastoral resilience and encourages building things, communities, institutions that are meant to last for generations, not just until next year's predicted end date.
Ultimately, this isn't just about theology. It's about freedom, right here, right now. It's the freedom to go to college, to start a family, to invest in your community, all without that paralyzing anxiety in the back of your mind that it could all be for nothing tomorrow.
Which brings us to the book's final, really powerful idea. We started by looking at everything that's lost when people say yes to these predictions. But the author flips it and leaves us with this question. What do we build? What do we save? What do we protect when we finally have the confidence to just say no?